Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I am your host, Josiah, aka Mauler67, and with me, as always, I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't really complain. I just, the last 2 nights in a row, I've been up till like 4 in the morning. Because Friday night was Vampire Tabletop.
Saturday night was Vampire.
And then Saturday night was Vampire Tabletop. And then today I slept until about 12, maybe-ish 1, and then just chilled, play games, and watched The Good Place to finish up the rest of the season. And it was a weekend, man. In the tabletop game, my character made bad decisions and almost got my whole team killed. And in the LARP, just everything was fine with the LARP. We left at like 1:30 to go back home, which we have about a 45-minute drive to get back from where we game at. But I accidentally missed the turn on the turnpike, and it took us an additional 30 minutes to get home after that miss. Because instead of us going into Pittsburgh, it took us around and we had to loop into Pittsburgh again. It was funny because the guy I was with, Marcus, was just like, I was wondering why I saw the downtown Pittsburgh. I was like, yeah, no, we missed it because we were talking and I didn't the app on my phone, the map didn't like talk loud enough, I guess. I didn't hear it and we just drove right past it. So crazy weekend. What about you, man? How was your day?
Had a busy weekend actually. So Friday went to work, got off work, went to Topgolf. We were invited to Topgolf for like two of our friends. So we played around Topgolf and we came home. And then yesterday, we were just back and forth between everything. We were trying to get everything cleaned.
Yeah.
So the recent thing that's been going on in my life right now, about like 4 days ago, I'm laying in bed at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and my wife wakes me up and she's like, "Do you hear that?" And I was like, "No, I'm trying to sleep." Like, I'm not trying to hear anything. She's like, "No, listen." And we start hearing like, scratching. And we were like, "Oh, okay, that's weird," And then it just stopped. And we're like, "Oh, it's probably a mouse or something. It's fine." And so then we went back to bed. And then about next day, about 10:30 at night, we're laying in bed and we start hearing it again, but it's like on the corner of this side, like right here of our house, right here. This is where it was located at. And so our trash cans are right there. So like I look out this window and I'm like, well, it's not getting the trash. We put stones on top so it couldn't get in trash. We thought it was raccoon. So we're like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden we hear a knock on the door and it's my neighbor. And he was like, "Hey, come out here, man." And so where my house meets the foundation, there's like a bed, like a flower bed thing with like a railroad tie. And I look under, I just look over and I see this little nose like underneath the railroad tie and these little hands. And it starts eating the siding of my house. Come to find out, it was a baby raccoon. And it was stuck inside my house. And I didn't know this, but a couple weeks ago, we had a problem with like a raccoon in our chimney. So we put repellent down there and the raccoon got out. We didn't hear anything about it. And then we capped the chimney. Well, we found out that the raccoon wasn't fat just to be fat. It was pregnant, had its babies in her chimney. And the babies were laundering around in the basement for a while. When we started going down there like a couple weeks ago, we started noticing like there was like yellow water everywhere, like on bags and stuff. And I was like, "What the heck is this?" And I'd smell it and I was like, "Man, it's got no smell." But then I started smelling like really strong ammonia, and I was like, this is raccoon urine, and I was like, he's been peeing all over this place. So finally we left the basement door open. It's been open for the last 2 days. Hopefully they get out. I foamed and sealed this whole siding because it looks like they did get out because the hole got bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to get out. Like they were trying to get out because they were eating the siding because we capped the chimney, and they were like, "Hey, you're gonna get out." So hopefully that happened. Hopefully that works. Today I went and saw Disney's new movie. Yeah, and then that was Snow White.
Well, that's
the
not a
real
new
life
movie.
version.
That's an old movie.
Well, it's the live action.
Yeah, it's still
came out
old
this
movie.
week. It came out Friday. Yeah, so watched that, and then came home here and just hung out. Pretty much, nothing really too extreme this week,
Mm-hmm.
except for like dealing with raccoons. But now, since we've had the whole problem, we've had mice come in now because we, once we filled the hole, I think we got the mouse stuck because the mice got in when the hole was there,
Mm-hmm.
and then now we're dealing with mice.
Yeah, now you're
But I can
dealing
deal
with
with mice. I'd rather deal with mice than raccoons. So any day.
Yeah, mice are easy
Yeah.
kind of to deal with. You just
Yeah.
put down traps, do the proper repellents and everything of that sort, and they'll clean yourself up. Or you're like me and have a
Mhm.
cat, and then she'll take care of them before you realize there's a mouse. You'll just wake up one day and find a mouse on the floor and be like, I wasn't aware. Well, good job, cat. I'm not touching you for a couple days.
Yeah.
No, that's good, man. Glad you got that all figured out, because I'm pretty sure like my house has the same issue, except it's in the attic, because we have not been in that attic since that one time that you and
Andrew.
well, you,
Yeah,
Andrew, and I was thinking of the other person from Pittsburgh film, Todd. You all and Todd
Film
was up
Todd.
there, yeah. And we did all that stuff. We haven't been up there, and occasionally as I'm laying in bed, I'll hear like scream little like scratching noises up above me, and I'll just like look up, and like I know I'm not hearing things because Molly's looking up too, like what the frick is that? And I'm like, yeah, they're
Squirrels.
probably up there. They're squirrels or raccoons. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just what it is. It's nature and all that good
pretty
stuff.
much.
All right, Austin. Well, speaking of nature, this week we watched a show. We finished the show, actually. We finally got to see the end to The Good Place. Diving right into it head first. We had good weeks. We don't need to sit here and keep talking about it. I have a playlist of like a bunch of like funny moments from it going because I couldn't find a trailer for season 4. So, Austin, I have to ask, now that we have finished it from beginning to end, what did you think of The Good Place?
No, I will say this. I've been saying it for a while, and I was like, it's network TV. It's just not hitting me.
Mhm.
It's kind of the same deal, but I will give this TV show props. I enjoyed the ending. I thought it was very well done. It could not work anywhere like in other TV shows, because how this TV show works is like, they're not alive. So
Mhm.
it's like, the ending to this was very satisfying. Like it was like a good payoff. I really enjoyed it, even though a lot of people I've read, countless people say they love it, but then some people are like, oh, I hate it. And I was like, the reason why you hate it is mostly because it's done. Like I have that problem.
Yep.
But then I wait a couple weeks and I'm like, yeah, no, that was a really good ending. This show, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ending of the show. I thought they did really good in the last season, and it gave everyone a satisfying ending to a point where, like, I felt like everything was tied up properly. There wasn't anything left out. They did really well with how a show should end. Like this will go down as like a good show
Mhm.
that ended well. Like I really will legitly say that show ended very well. and it did it on an emotional level too. Like, you know,
Yeah,
'cause-
it was. I personally got like, I'm like, it was
Yeah.
rough the last episode, especially since it was like a
yeah,
hour-long episode, and they're just like,
Yeah.
surprise, surprise. Not only is it an hour-long episode, it's an hour-long episodes of people just basically like being like, I'm content. I think I've got to experience all the happiness I want. I'm just going to go and murder myself. See you later. Like,
yeah,
it was crazy to me.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It was good. So I'll give it that. I will like. Is this a show that I'll probably rewatch? Probably not. It's just not who I am. I was excited because there was a lot of references. I did like the ending for Ted Danza's character. I thought that was really funny, and it worked really well for him, where he just wanted to be a human. Because the part where like he goes to like take the thing out of the microwave and he just doesn't use oven mitts because he doesn't know what hot means, and then he just like grabs it and just like. I was just like, it kind of reminded me of Grandma's Boy in a way. He does like the stove. He's like, ah.
Oh yeah.
He's just too baked and doesn't know. It was funny seeing Lisa Cordray this season too. That's the girl that plays Phoebe.
Yeah.
From Friends. They made Friends references the whole time, and I was like, whoa, somebody's got to show up. Because Ted Danza said, he's like, I've done a quick study on Friends. I watched the whole series, you know? He's like, how can those people afford that apartment?
The thing that makes me kind of laugh about it, right, is that
Mhm.
there was a little bit of a like, because like all the other seasons, like this one had like specifically said like Netflix original series, which I was like, no, it's not. Like, you can't call it Netflix original series if it originally started on something else. It was originally an
Netflix does
NBC series, and then you
Netflix
get it,
does that.
and then you're just like, it's a Netflix original series. Like, no, it's not. Like,
They do that. That's what they did with Better Call Saul. Like the first season of Better Call Saul is AMC, and then Better Call Saul was sold. Well, Breaking Bad universe was sold like some like original Netflix series. I'm like,
it's
No,
not
it's not.
original. Like, it's
did not come out
originally
with
from
it.
someone else.
Yeah.
You could say a
So-
Netflix acquired series. That makes sense, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I when that was happening, I'm like, I wonder if this was out the same time that like Friends is on Netflix and everything. So they're like, we got it. We can get one of them. And who's everyone's favorite one? Lisa Kudrow. Yeah, let's get Phoebe in here. She'll get to be a famous philosopher who has lost her way. And
And I thought Jason's ending was pretty good too. I enjoyed Jason's ending. I thought him like trying to reconnect with his dad and like trying to help all that stuff out. And then plus the Jaguar thing, I was like, yeah, I kind of knew that was going to happen with the whole Jacksonville Jaguar.
well, what's funny, what I did enjoy about this season is that like it's them still trying to do the proper experiment and everything. And then it ends, and then they get to go to the good place, and you're like, oh, they get to go to the good place. That's like the end of the good, like that. This is the show. And then they go there and they find out the good place has its own issue, and it's like everyone becomes lifeless zombies if they don't have any issues or anything like that, and they just get to experience all the good things in their life. And I thought that was a very creative issue for the good place. And I also think how they kind of like solved it also made kind of sense. Like, it's like, yeah, you deserve to be as happy as you want to be for as long as you want to be. And when your soul is finally content and happy, here's the doorway to be in peace, effectively.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, I like that concept. I like that little simplicity. There's a side of me that was like, why not? They could have, instead of saying like you just become part of the universe again, like you get reincarnated or like, and they kind of leave it open-ended too with the whole doorway, because they're like, what happens when you go
Yeah.
past it? It's like, we don't really know. Like, that's the one thing I don't even know. I'm like, great. So what you're saying is that you created the after the spirit. What the heck do they call the after when you die? the afterlife conundrum for the afterlife, you know,
Yeah.
where it's like we don't know what happened back there, so we're not going to even think about it. I like to believe that whenever they go through that door, it restarts the good place, but they're in the gooder place, and they just add ER at the end. I would love a fan edit of someone just re-editing the show, and anytime someone says the good place, they just say the good place, and just like what you want to call it, like AI the voice into it every single time, and it's the exact same story. It's just the good place, and then once they complete that series, they release the good place, and it's just a perpetual thing. And I think it would have been hilarious, but no, I'll agree. I think the season ending was pretty good. I will say, when they were doing the like experiment in the first half of the season, I was kind of like, this is a weird experiment to run, because of the fact that they're basically replicating what they already did, but they took out the negativities of things, you know? Like, the whole point of their original like experiment, like Michael's original thing, was to torture them, right? But then they all were like, yeah, we're going to put them in this simulated area and like they'll get better. But they're not torturing them, they're just letting them live. And it's like, of course they're not going to get better if you're not like doing negative things to them. Like, that's the whole point. You all were effectively being tortured. And I also do like the fact that by the end of the series, the one guy, the dude who was like the piece of trash that no one liked, I think at the end of the series there's a frame where you see him talking to someone about like, it's like, well, I told her to smile. What do you mean? What if she looks better if she smiles? Ain't I doing her a favor? And it's like walking by, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure the context is that he's going to the bad place. Like, he can't get out of it because he is a bad person. And I kind of laugh because I'm like, people like that will only get better once they like effectively get like bad things happen to them for a long time, and people just tell them like, it's because you're a bad person you're here, and then they have to self-reflect after being like all the negative consequences. But you can't convince those people to turn good just naturally or in like non-simplistic manners. But I don't know, I still like the show a lot. I got really like emotional when each one was going to go through the door, or at least plan to go through the door. I knew Jason would be the first one. I liked what they did with Tiana. Now that I finished watching, I'm not going to remember her name. But she becoming an architect, I was like, that's cool. I like that. I like that concept. It's good. Chidi going, then Eleanor. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do thoroughly enjoy. I really like Janet's episode. Well, I like Janet and Jason together. I think that's a good thing. I will say Eleanor's like exception to like, you know, the whole, hey, you know, I'm ready to, you know, pass through the archway. I really thought it made me do something that like I do from time to time, and a lot of people, I don't know if they get it like I do, but I got this, and I've only experienced it like 4 times in my life. And when I saw this episode and the part where she like, you know, she's sitting there on the bench, and Janet's like, you know, you can sit here on the bench as long as you want, you know, just take your time. Whenever you want to go, you can go. And she's like, margaritas? Yeah, you know, whatever. There's this thing called, it's like some type of, I don't know, it's like a symptom or something, but it's called impending doom, where you feel like, you know, like there's like only one choice and you're like going to die. It brought up that feeling again. So I've had that feeling like a couple times in my life, where it's just I've had this feeling of impending doom where I was like, oh no, it's ending. And even though it's not ending at all, the first time when I had impending doom, I thought my life was ending because I was choking on a Dorito in 6th grade. Luckily, I hung around the smart kid Jacob, and he did the Heimlich maneuver on me, so that was interesting. But when she stated that, it like rushed back a whole bunch of memories of like, you know, people accepting like the being a being and then going from nothing to not existing at all. I feel like it's representing death again, but this time you can choose. So, you know, they can choose to stay if they want, but if they feel whole, they can go. You know, there's really nothing there that makes them like want to do that. But I will say this is it brought up the impending doom of the day that it happens to me, where I accept it and I'm like, oh, like I start thinking of that like day where it's like, how am I going to accept it? Is it going to be like, you know, like the Simpsons episode with the blowfish, like where it would be like the 5 stages and I do all of them in one swoop, and I'd be like, oh, well, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. Like, it's just that thought like brought up in my head when she sat down on that bench and she was like, take your time. This is, you know, what you want to do. And I'm like, you know, I don't know. It just brought up impending doom to me, but it was so well done that she realized that like she felt fulfilled. Like, you know, I think Eleanor and Chidi did that. Those two people did really good as a character base. Where, you know, the only way that Chidi, what was it? I think he ask Janet. He asked Janet for something, and she like gives him a piece of paper and says there is no answer. Eleanor's the answer, and it like brought me back to that scene where I was like, he just needed to know that there was someone there with him, that, you know, that those two are perfect how they ended together, where they both accepted their fate of not existing anymore.
No, it's not really fate if you do it, you know. It's your choice.
Yeah, it's like a choice.
The biggest thing I'm going to say about them, right, is I thought they were totally going to do the whole walk in there together thing, you know, where it's like, he's like, I'm fulfilled, and then she's like, don't leave me, type of thing, and he's like, I'm sorry, I felt this way for a very long time, blah 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 blah. And then like she realizes that like the only reason why she doesn't feel fulfilled is because she has him, and without him she would have nothing else, right? And then she would be like, well, if you're going to go, I want to go too at the same time. I want my last moments to be with you. That's how I feel fulfilled, type deal thing. I thought that's what they were going to do it, but they let her keep going for a bit, which I thought was good. I like the fact that they did that. I like the fact that they also brought up the woman from the neutral zone, and the fact that she has reset Derek so many times he has basically became a god. I did find that funny, and then she still turns him off all the time. Yeah, I just the series had a lot of like good points. This season also had me have a lot of like absolute like I laughed out loud. Like one of them is showing right now with the little like when they're drawing things and then Janet bringing them to life, and then like Chidi draws that horrible giraffe thing. And they're all fearful. Like that made me laugh this season. I really found that funny. Yeah, I really did. Oh yeah, and then the other thing that made me laugh was the like, yeah, you have to make a simulated environment and then like let them figure out something. It's just like blah 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 blah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, chainsaw bear. It's like, oh god. It's like, no, they have to be relatable, and it has to be like a smaller thing and more relatable. Okay, I got you. And then she like takes the cocktail and looks over, and then there's just a bear there that's like small, and it's just like, Mondays, am I right? Chainsaw man. it really made me laugh. Like I busted out laughing. It was so stupid. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the crowd of this season. I like this series. I really do. I like the series. I think I'm kind of in the same boat you are. Not so much that I didn't like it or anything like that, but I don't know if I would rewatch it naturally. It's definitely a show that if it was on whenever I was just like looking for something to watch on the television, 100% would watch it. I would have no issue with that. But if it was like I had endless shows to watch, anything I want to watch, it wouldn't be something that I'd naturally jump to. But it would be something that I'm glad I watched it. I enjoyed it that much.
Yeah, it's just one of those shows where, like, you know, it's just one and done for me. I'm not gonna probably go back and rewatch it or anything like that. But I will say, like, if someone's like, "Hey, have you watched A Good Place?" I'm gonna say, "Yeah, it's a good show." It's a one-time watcher for me. You know, it's not something where I'm gonna rewatch. But I did say I enjoyed the show enough that I was like, "Hey, I'm glad I watched it." That's what I wanted out of it. And I think it really helped that the ending stuck really well. Because if you have an okay show and then the ending's not really great, you know, a lot of people are like, "Nah, it's not good." But whoever did the show realized that the ending had to sync properly. Like it gave them potential. Like that hour-long episode that they did was a lot of time to like figure out, you know, things that had to get solved and resolved by different characters, and like they resolved those things that, you know, that were lingering over it. So
it's not even like a lot of resolving thing. I think it was more of like, it felt like it gave each character a long, like basically like a miniature episode for them to like have their time to breathe, to wrap up their things and be like, and I'm done, right? I think it was also very like touching a lot of the times where you got to see like some of their relatives or like connectives come back, and you realize like, hey, they passed the training as well. Like they were good people. They were doomed to the bad place, but because of their interactions in the new change system, they've actually grew. Especially whenever you see like Tahani and her sister and her mom and dad, and like how they all connect to each other again. Like it's like they didn't have that in life, and now in the afterlife they're able to show and grow as individuals to be better with that. So that was touching. Like, love that a lot. No, I very much did like the show. I liked a lot of the actors. Wouldn't be surprised if I saw them in other stuff. I'd probably be like, hey, it's blah blah from The Good Place. Like I would do that. Like that's how much I did enjoy this show. I'm glad they got to make it. I'm glad they got to fully finish it too. It had a satisfying ending to me. It was a satisfying ending without them doing either like happy ever after, because I think that would have been a bad ending if they were like, you get to go to the good place, and they go to the good place and it's like this wonderful perfect place, and it just ends with them entering the good place like so many shows tried to do, where it's just like it's what they've always wanted. Instead they're like, hey, even the thing that you all were fighting for isn't paradise. You have to fix this as well. I think my only criticism for the show would be is that I think that good place reveal was so good that should have been done in season 3. They should have got to the good place at season 3, and then season 3, the whole season should have been them fixing the good place, because I think there was a lot of story you could tell with the idea of like figuring out how to solve the idea of everlasting happiness. And they just kind of like figure it out really quickly. It's just like, we gotta kill people, man. We gotta let them kill themselves. We gotta give everyone a toaster in a bathtub. Like, that's basically what they were doing. And it was weird. Like, it was crazy to me. I'm just like, oh no. But in the end, I think it was a smart decision, smart play, good play. I wasn't expecting the last episode to be an hour long though. I'll be honest. when I was
didn't
watching.
expect that.
I was
I
like,
was like, oh, I'll just power through it. Like, that's why I actually text you, because I was like, oh yeah, I'll just power through it. And then I started watching it. I was like, uh-oh, this isn't out. I
I
already knew the ending. I knew the ending for Cheel and Eleanor. Like, I already knew those because of the Jeopardy thing that spoiled me. But I didn't know the ending for Jason or Janet or, you know, I forget his name. I always forget his name, but it's Ted Danza.
Michael.
Michael. I see that one gets mixed up in my head because I think
I
it's
thought-
wrong.
I totally thought the
because-
ending was going to reveal that Michael was actually like the archangel this whole time, like actually an angel.
That is so weird because that's the reason why I can't remember his name, because I usually say two archangels' names and I'm like, is it Michael, Gabriel? Because, you know, John Hamm is Gabriel and Good Omens. And I was like, Gabriel, Michael, is it Michael Gabriel? I don't know. They're like two angelic names.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching the show. It was a watch for me. Like I enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't anything where I was like, you know, I gotta stop everything and like tell everyone that this is award-winning, amazing show. It's more of, if you're looking for something just to watch, and it's good watch, and you know, it's not too long. Like, it's only 4 seasons. Like, it's bingey, but it's not completely bingey.
Yeah.
You know, you could probably binge this probably in a day or two, maybe a day actually, because
I
they're 20 episodes, 20 minutes.
I think the story actually declines the uses, the idea of binging it. Like, it makes it less of a possibility, because like after every season you're kind of left like, huh, okay, yeah, I could keep going, but you know, there were some heavy topics discussed in the one episode, or like the story was really good for certain ones. And I definitely think like the first 2 seasons were very like sitcom-y driven, like where it's like, oh, there's these weird funny things and it keeps changing, wow. And then it became like very like, hey, we have to fix or solve this issue, and we're in a perpetual state of trying to figure that out. But the first couple episodes, it just felt like a bunch of people just hanging out trying to just survive, and that was enjoyable to me.
So yeah, but I enjoy it.
Okay. Yeah.
Not too much going on because, like, you know, I really think most of it was the ending of the show. The ending of the show is what made this season great. I thought it was great because of how they ended it. Like, it felt like a satisfying ending. And if you're a huge fan of the show, I'm just really happy that you got a good conclusion out of it. Like, I feel like, you know, I would be satisfied if I really loved this show and this happened. I'd be like, yeah, I'm satisfied with how it ended. You know, it's not like Game of Thrones where, you know, like, we're so ready for this satisfying ending and it doesn't make sense because it's not done properly. This was done properly. Like, someone took its time, you know, writing this, was like, yeah, you know, we really enjoy this and we want you guys to enjoy it. So, you know, it's something that I'd probably recommend someone like my mom to watch. Like, you know, like something like that. If someone was like, hey, what's a good show to watch? And, you know, I'm not like trying to make them watch Breaking Bad or anything. I'll be like, Good Place is pretty good. You probably like that. This is probably a show I recommend. So, on that end.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same boat. If someone would ask me like, what's a good show for me to watch, that is funny, lighthearted, and easy to kind of pick up and put down, like The Good Place. Some people may not like it because it does like kind of tack on the end of like religion and some things like that, but luckily enough they kind of like sidewave it as like, you know, everyone kind of got it wrong, a lot of places got it wrong, some of them are right, some of them are not. This is the only person who got it semi right. And
stoner that was on mushrooms or something, I forget.
Yeah, he took a mushroom trip. He got on a trip and he got as close as possible. And then he had like a brother who was a lawyer, and bad things happened there. He became like electro sensitive. Anyways, Austin, All right, Austin. I think that basically will cover it for this episode. Like it was short and sweet. We had 3 seasons of it to talk and everything, and this was more of a wrap up. Just, you know, I think we both enjoyed the ending. It was good. It was great. I like how they kind of wrapped certain things, and I'm happy that I got to watch it. I appreciate Jordan for reaching out to us to have us watch that. I thought it was a good pick. Got to see a lot of actors I like. Got to see a lot of got to meet a bunch of actors that I'm now like, hey, if I ever see them and stuff, I'm going to be happy to watch that stuff. So pretty good. All right, Austin. So next week we're going to start a show that you're picking because I picked this show. We are going to be watching Mythic Quest. What is Mythic Quest on? Is it on Amazon or was it on...
So it's actually on Apple TV.
Okay, Apple TV.
It is an Apple TV exclusive. That's why I never knew anything about this. So I am a huge, Josiah knows this, I'm a huge fan of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And I love, I'm a huge fan. I love Rob McElhenney, which is the guy that plays Mac in the show. And Charlie Day wrote and produced this show with Rob McElhenney. And then like there's some characters. But you're going to see a couple people that you know. Danny Putin is in this series. He plays a big role in this. There's a couple other people. They have cameos come in from time to time. So this, the pretty much the whole show is like just about a video game. It's about like this video game MMO. It is. I've watched. They're finishing up. I think on the 4th season.
Okay.
Right now, I think that like by the time we get there, it will be over.
Solid.
But yeah, there's actually I can't wait because there is the newest season. There is a Clue episode, and I was like, oh, he's gonna love this when I make him watch it. I think you'll thoroughly enjoy this. It took me a moment, but what's really weird is you'll know it, but like halfway through the season, there will be like this random episode. And you'll be like, am I watching the same show? And yes, you are. Don't be alarmed, anyone. You are watching the same show. It's just I'm not going to spoil it, but every season has that episode. It's like an episode that they do. And it is phenomenal. I think you'll love that episode. It's very well done. And I don't know if this show has won awards or whatever. But yeah, they're about 45, I think like a half an hour long. I think the episodes are. But yeah. All right. That's what we're doing. We're watching Mythic Quest.
Sounds cool to me. All right, awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this episode. And thank you everyone else who is out there watching us. Thank you so much for stopping by. And thanks guys so much for tuning in.